Yeah. So. Hey,
There's our secretary. I told you
I
I.
want to talk to you about this, but I'm like, there's 7 people staring at me. Hey, you're not on like speaker, so don't worry about that. But sure, the computer is on live stream. I'm sorry, I was trying to. Sorry. Yeah. That's funny. All right. When the boss calls.
Was that Dennis?
Yes, yeah. I thought he had something.
You have a
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Good job. Like to call them. I will do that. Anyways. I'd like to call the order. It is 6:06. We have a quorum. Thank you all for attending. Short notice. The first order of business is approval of meeting minutes. I appreciate the attention to detail that, Melissa. Yeah.
My only comment is just the name wrong.
Yeah.
There's no E.
Oh, sorry,
That's okay.
my bad.
That's okay.
There's one RC.
Nope, there's two.
Oh, no, my name.
Oh, oh, right, yeah.
Well, I'm sorry, I have a friend who has 2 Rs.
Oh, really?
Yes.
There's something.
So I just typed it the way Aaron has it.
I can change my birth.
No, it's.
Yeah, I'm an American. Anyways.
He's Scottish, so.
Let's see. Any more comments or questions, concerns?
Nope, not for me.
All right,
I would move to approve as amended,
I'll
spelling
second it.
amendments.
thank you. Everybody?
Sure.
Yeah. Good, thank you. The first thing I wanted to just put in the packet was, Bill came in today and, gave me this article. We can share it with everybody too.
It's just, it's about the building houses to rent. It's probably not applicable to this area. I mean, metropolitan area, but I just throw things in, might make you think of something else related to it, that can help us. But there's, again, when I spoke last time, I talked about how people can't afford to buy a house, so they're renting. And this is people, they're probably executives or something with some large company, and they get moved around. And they rent the house, and they've got a yard for the kids and everything, unlike an apartment building and all. It's something, I think it was Fox News, I thought it was Wall Street Journal, but I just looked at it, it's Fox News, yeah. I just thought it was interesting, and it might someday click with something we're doing.
I know like the metro areas, they're buying up, the big companies keep buying those, but, I think it was Atlanta that I read, they're buying up starter homes, like they're actually the old housing stock, these companies. And that's actually causing some problem for young families that want, I'm sorry, because these companies are buying them. And basically pricing them out of that market, of purchasing the more affordable home.
But even then renting them at a price that you can't afford.
Mm-hmm.
It's true.
So it's a problem.
In this case here, it'd be like someone who's got to be with a big company, is gonna be there for 2 years. So he can afford that, and he doesn't have to buy a house, go through all the routine, and then sell it later. But like I say, it might not be applicable around here.
The other thing that, I was talking about was, it might be a good model, is since we have the population. Is, my parents live in a Connecticut, a 55 and older home. Or, complex. And they own the house, but they don't own the land. Right. It's a condo association, but, maybe that's something we need to look at, trying to attract here. Really,
Yeah, they're very popular in the Midwest.
My parents really like it because they don't have to do the yard maintenance and stuff, the plow and mowing. But, they can still plant the flowers and whatever, but then they have a built-in neighborhood too, with people their age, they have a clubhouse that they go to and talk to people.
But they're not condos.
No, not
No,
condos,
it's
it's just nice.
single family homes.
Like
They're,
they share walls or?
Nope.
no, they're standalone.
$400,000 home, they're pretty expensive, but, I mean.
They've been a lot of them are maybe a little smaller in size. Because they are retirees, they don't need extra rooms and stuff like that, but then some are bigger, but. Yeah, my veterinarian had one.
There are a lot of those in Florida.
My mom
Really popular, right? But also, I mean, another generation is mobile home park. You don't own the property, you own your mobile, and
Right.
you got the clubhouse and the pool. I like the chief's his in-laws. They got themselves, did you see their house? It's a nice, small, it's very small, and maybe it has 4 rooms, I'm not sure. But, and I,
A tiny house.
no, it's not.
That's really small.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
But they
it's-
have different, I mean, it depends, I mean, there's different
Yeah.
levels.
It's square. And they just put on like a porch and whatever. Their neighbors have a bigger one because they're friends, I guess, that moved in. But I said, wow, I was surprised when I saw it because it's pretty small, but
Like
that,
1,000 square feet or something?
Yeah.
Or maybe 800,
maybe.
yeah.
I know Knickerbocker, they're building tiny homes right now.
Yeah.
Right in Wisconsin,
Yeah.
Yes,
and, right, with the Gal's warehouse.
yeah, they want to become chamber members,
And-
$300,000 tiny homes.
Yeah. Less than 1,000 square feet.
We moved here, we downsized from 3,000 square feet to 1,800. And we got it so that we can live on 1 floor if we have to. Got spare bedrooms upstairs in my office. Yeah,
Mhm.
except I got an acre and a quarter to be mowing.
But but I mean, these are things that we should all think about, I mean, that's what we need to look at in terms of seeing if we can find a land that somebody who's willing to sell. Town obviously has some land that we could develop on too, but, you know, we need to look at ways that we can attract that kind of development. And we talk about that.
There's a lot of, I mean, I don't know how hard it is for developers to come to Wiscasset, but we could make it easier maybe.
Yeah, or maybe that's what we need to do, is like sit down with some of these people and talk to them. I don't know, what do you think?
Well, I know over the years, I've heard a lot of negative stuff, just before you came, when there was no planner and we had, code enforcement that was really hard to work with, I was hearing very negative stuff. Not so bad now, but I think that we still could, there's things that we can do that could make it easier. And then promote it, letting people know that, hey, we really are business friendly, you know, we want to bring people in, we want developers to build, we want businesses to come. I think you've done a good job, Erin, and I saw the article that you wrote on, I forget where I read that now. Someplace that you put something out there. I'm not imagining this, right?
Yeah, I think, yeah.
I feel so much one day.
I could probably share that, well, maybe I have already.
I've seen it somewhere, I just don't remember where, but it was nice, and I think that, was it a letter to the editor?
We actually got featured by this national publication, it's like a trade journal called Business View.
That's where it was.
Yeah.
They were the ones that actually supposedly wrote the article, but I ended up spending quite a bit of time rewriting their article. Anyways, that's, you know.
But those types of things, I think that, because there are big parcels of land still in Wiscasset that, I mean, I know John Libby for one just bought one and he's building a lot of homes out on Foy Road. Which is good. We need more homes to accommodate, the lack of housing and to help with the tax base.
I mean, we meet with them and just say, how is it going? What do you need? What were your roadblocks? What has been great?
Yeah, I
You know
know
what I mean? Just to kind of get the feel for what.
what his experience has been. Yeah, I can ask him.
Yeah.
I think one type of house he's building, and one of the big ones these days, obviously, is interest rates. Borrowing the requirements, you know, because it's generally a passive investment if you own some homes,
Well, that's definitely hurting us.
you know, and yeah. I mean, that's gonna change, but I don't think it's gonna change quickly.
I'd also just point out that the low interest rates that we've had for the last
Yeah.
10 years are remarkably
23,
low.
23.
23 years are remarkably low, and that's not the norm for rates. So
No,
although I would like them to come down too, we shouldn't let ourselves think that it's too high.
What's that?
7%.
It's somewhere around there, but the thing is with where they were,
It makes-
so low.
and then again, the prices have come up so much, so you've got higher interest rates and higher prices.
Yeah.
And usually you have one or the other, you know, they kind of balance each other out, but they're both high
Yeah.
right now,
Yeah.
relatively high,
That's true.
yeah. And that has priced a lot of people out. I mean, I've seen people that when it was 3% and 4%, that may have been approved for 500,000, now they can only afford 400,000 or 350,000.
Right.
Right, to have you save another $150,000.
When you can't find something at 500, how are you gonna find something at 350? It's just,
Yeah.
it's hard.
Do we have properties identified that are available? Or could be available?
I've been looking, actually, on the tax map, that there's some pretty large parcels of land. I mean, I'm not going to talk to you guys about that right now, but I did look at some, going up Route 27 and, in particular, because I was thinking of creating a TIF district in that area to kind of induce, development. And what that would do is also help pay for expansion of utilities and things like that, the TIF district would. And I was thinking, lots not too far from the main road
Mhm.
that were some pretty substantial in size, you know, obviously the town doesn't own that, but you know, I would think that if somebody got a hold of one of them and realized, geez, you know, I could put some homes in there, that might.
But those major developments are kind of costly, you know, figuring the road work, this, to that, whatever, all of a sudden a small, I guess what I'm saying, is a small guy might be able to build a house here and a house there, is priced out of that market,
Yeah,
because it takes real money.
So that's where I was coming from, was like, I wanna try and find a way to lower their costs, the development costs.
Yeah, but some of that state law, you gotta do this, you gotta do that, and we jump through all these different
Right, you
hoops.
gotta have sewer hookups, you gotta have. Yeah, and that's something that we can help with potentially, by saying, we will do the sewer hookups, or we will do to X point in the road, and you'll have to do to the, I mean, you know what I mean? There are things that we can look at that might help with that.
The question is like, I have to caution myself, it's like, okay, you know, I look at these big pieces of land. You know, I don't know who owns them or any of the history behind them, and so I wanna be careful about to come up with a development scheme around a piece of property that might have been multi-generational farm or something.
well, you should talk to me about that, cause I know a lot of people, and I think I know who you're talking about on 27, and I don't think that they would be.
It was actually just on it, it was like, I might, don't, what was it, or something.
But wouldn't it be valuable to know who needs housing before we talk about putting in developments? I mean, whether it's a $300,000 tiny house or a $500,000, whatever. I mean, there are developments in this community
Yeah.
that have failed.
Yeah.
And they're beautiful communities, and there's no reason that I know of that they should have failed, but they have. So I feel like we need to know who's coming here,
Yeah,
who needs a home here, and what can they afford? Are they renters? Are they owners? Are they seasonal?
so that's kind of what, there's some of that legwork's been done. MCOG, the Windows Council of Governments, put together this housing gap analysis. You know, we don't have to go over that today, that's why the meeting's gonna be short, unfortunately, I can get this stuff off you sooner, but. You know, I'd like to look at this and just kind of, you know, see what we can glean from that, and then maybe, and then there's the other one that Lincoln County, Council of Governments, I mean, not that, so Regional Planning Commission put together. And, I didn't make copies of this, but I will, and I can email them to you, and, the copies available for you next week. This is a countywide study. And it has a lot of information in there. And I'd like to, you know, then we can, like you said, be more knowledgeable about what the market is, and you know, who needs housing and stuff like that.
It's like I read that, like Bath Ironworks needs to hire like 5,000 people, and that's a round number, but they can't because there's no place for any of the people to live. You know, so it's like,
That's a,
they need to hire them, but they can't be driving from Portland every day, you know?
Actually, that's a short drive.
Yeah, half people drive way from.
Oh, okay, Barbara, right, or
Yeah,
Wells, or what is one of those other ones down there?
yeah.
You know, but yeah, yeah. Of course, that's also why I have single car accidents.
so, I mean, I think you bring up a great point, is that, you know, you have a major employer that needs housing, needs to find housing for its people closer by. And we have land, and so I feel like that's why this is important. You know, I wanted to talk to you about this, is in terms of ways that we can market maybe that Old Ferry Road property with some browse. and, talk to some developers, what they think is the problem, how, the roadblocks and things like that that you mentioned. So hopefully we can get sort of a sweet spot with a plan together. And I think some of that stuff's already here, so, what I like to, maybe at another meeting, we can talk about that, and I don't know how I feel about
And maybe BIW would be willing to make some investments. They need, that's what they did years ago, that's what, a lot of companies did, they had housing for their people or they built it. I mean, if BIW is desperate enough, maybe they just need to, be prodded into, getting together with area towns and how we can best work together.
that. I think they're receptive, we'll see about that.
Yeah, I think we really need
Yeah.
workers.
And these major subdivisions take a lot of money up front. A lot of planning, you've got all your survey work and this work and road planning, curbing, all those things we mandate, or the state does, that cost money, real money.
We could also talk to some of the large developers like Jensen's.
Genesis, fine, yeah.
I mean, they're mobile home parks, but they're up and down the coast. And, they certainly would know how to go in and, what they need to do. And so maybe there would be, again, somebody to talk to for,
So I'm meeting with a guy by the name of John Egan, you might know him, he's a long time person, like, Uber and Shaker, from the Wisconsin area.
John
Egan,
Egan,
used to work for CI,
it sounds familiar, but
he works for Genesis.
yeah.
And,
What's Genesis?
so they basically are a group that provides basically an angel investing to developers, provide technical assistance to developers in this communities build housing. That they're more slated towards workforce and affordable housing. But, I think what BIW is looking for is a little bit, they're not necessarily looking for affordable housing, but I think they're actually looking at market rate. But I think this guy, that I'm meeting with, knows the market and the industry well enough, that he could give some good guidance. When I meet with them, it's actually my memo here to the board. I can invite you to a meeting of ours. Is it? Planners, I meet with them end of the month. And, to see how he can help us with the Old Ferry Road property, in particular, maybe Mason Station. Maybe I'm interested. Invite someone like that to a meeting. Give it a Google one. It's JONEGAN, Genesis. They. Anyways, yeah. So I think that's a good source. I was at a conference last week and I made contact with him, that's how I met him. And then I also was at same conference and I met with some representatives from the State Housing Authority. They primarily do affordable housing and workforce housing. But the way I see it is a lot of the stuff that we're gonna be doing is what you call, we wanna try and build a package together and you wanna stack all the different incentives and things to make it all work. So there might be some affordable housing options along with the market rate stuff. And that's how the developer's gonna make his money, make their money, or get their return on investment. when they develop a property. So I think that's why we do invite and these people to the table and be willing to listen and willing to accept, maybe consider the affordable housing option.
But we need affordable housing.
Yeah,
I mean, we shouldn't be ignoring it.
I know, that's what I'm saying is I know that there's some people who are very, when you mentioned affordable housing, some people are very skittish about it. So I just want to make sure that we do consider that. And that's mentioned in here in that gap analysis.
I mean, a large, if you're looking at larger tracts of land. I mean, ultimately, they support a range of types of housing.
Mixed use, yeah.
Yeah.
Multi.
Well, and the other thing is you know, maybe a developer doesn't, build all the homes, but you subdivide it and sell the lots. Cause that's a big need too, it's just land, there's no land and people could hire their own builders and build their own homes. There's a lack of all of that, it's just.
One of the things that I've been sort of advocating for, I'm not sure Bill agrees with, but we've been doing a little bit of black hunting this, but I do think that we need to have a planner who can help us, with this project, at least the Oakberry Road. Because I think it's gonna become complicated, and when I was speaking to, a gentleman at the Land Bank Authority, and he was talking to some people at the developers at Mason Station, was that yesterday or this week? And he was talking about, he was a planner in Portland, so that was his earlier career. And he said when you get into these big projects, you have a tendency because to phase them in. But if you have a plan that's approved by the planning board early on in the process, and it's all down on paper, and then what you do is you find developers to build out certain segments of components of that planning. It might take years to do, but because of the complexity of it, you might be able to find one developer that's willing to do all of it. But I do think that when you have a complicated piece of land, a project, you really need to go back to the plan. I'm a big plan person, but I do think that and that's my recommendation. And you know, we can learn otherwise from meeting these people too, so.
That's what we did on that plan I showed you for the downtown that I did in Illinois.
Yeah.
Got a plan, but we left it loose enough. We brought in developers, 3 of them, promised them nothing, told them that. Had them look at it and said, would you invest in this? Or don't do anything stupid. They looked at it and said, no. But it was all minor things. So one guy said, they talked about it. That's all that my people brought it up. They threw it up. Got it, played with it. We had prior to that spent $250,000 in 2 or 3 years for consultants. Took something off the rack and put it back on the rack when it was done, nothing happened to it. So if we did this in 6 months, cost nothing. And now it's a $110 million downtown. Across the street, there's a couple $1 million, $100 millions for apartments and stores underneath and beyond that. I got 10 years, if I go back now, I wouldn't recognize the place, but we put the plan together, then they come in and they left them a little room to
Yeah,
change
tweak
things.
it,
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely. I support that. And we just need to get on a concept though. I do think that we need to kind of, the jigsaw puzzle, because if we want to incorporate all these different types of housing and different types of uses on that property, you know, we need to have somebody help us figure that out.
We went very first, we could find out what we would build on there. That's the important thing. Then when you get that, then you get some ideas. You have an idea before you start.
Right.
Have some ideas that you might want a little industrial over here, you might want apartments here, you might want homes over there.
So I've reached out to the University of Connecticut that's my alma mater, but that's not the reason why I reached out to them. They have a program that's funded through the EPA. And I guess each EPA region in the country has this similar sort of university-led group. It's called the Technical Assistance for Brownfields. And they help out municipalities and things like that with doing some of this planning and doing some of this site evaluation that Bill's talking about. And I think that, so I reached out to them, they're interested in helping us. And, it kind of was helpful that I mentioned that I was a graduate there, but anyways, I don't think so actually, but anyways, they do want to help us, and I have to set a meeting with them. I'm working on that, but I think that'll be the vehicle to get this project going, to help us. And once they come up here and they start doing that work, I'm gonna invite them to a meeting here, and hopefully you all can provide input.
And you can do this for free? An important part to mention.
And well, nothing's free, you know, like, they have access to the federal funds.
Right, they get grants, they get allocations, yeah. But it's free to us.
Yes.
That's the important part. To me.
Very nice. So that is kind of an exciting project, well, process that we're looking for.
And that's for Old Ferry Road?
Oak Ferry Road, and then, I mean, I ideally would like to get them, one of the things that I was at Brownfield Conference with Dennis the week before. And, you know, they were talking about their services there at that meeting, and they also can put it on Brownfield inventories. And I was actually thinking that maybe we can have them do an inventory of the whole town and see where the brownfields are. I'm sure all of us can probably start naming a few, places that might need some remediation or some sort of assessment. But I think that, anyways, so that's one of the things that you would like to work on. And interestingly enough, if you were to look at your charge in the select board, you know, the directives of the select board put together, they very wisely put in there that this committee is brownfield divided. So anytime you receive federal money, the town has to have a brownfield advisory committee. And I said to Dennis, why create another committee? Just put down name only as for our responsibilities. So anything that related to brownfields will come to us. So here, but anyways.
We're gonna vote on this today.
Go to what?
It's on your agenda.
The bylaws, I think we need to find the approval.
And that's where you're referring to, right? It's in there, that it
Actually,
says.
the original directive.
Oh, okay, but it's also in here though, to serve as the town's brownfield advisory committee by seeking town staff, blah, blah, blah.
The actual bylaws, though, is on the agenda, which is sort of the rules, procedures, directives, sort of
What we're supposed to do.
charged with, right? So I don't know if we all had a chance to look at the bylaws, but any questions, comments? Once again, you don't necessarily need to, make that decision here today, but I'd like to really get this adopted soon, so we can put this behind us and move on to the work of the committee.
So let's do it.
I'll make a motion to adopt.
I second.
I thought they were good, common sense, solid,
Yeah.
you know, you had the standards of conduct, which are great, you know. The meeting format, I enjoyed some of that, you can discuss things without emotion, which, you know, often happens, people jump and say, we're gonna talk about this, and we're out of order if we don't have emotion. So saith Roberts. So I mean, it's, and that reflective, I think, of the tone of it, it's somewhat loose
Yeah,
and engaging, so I approve.
so this committee document was mostly came from the committee handbook. I did make some amendments to it from my previous experiences. But one of the things that I do want to point out to you that there is a change. I did speak to the clerk about this. I know that we had some of us that were, some of you that were appointed until June.
Oh, yeah.
We changed the expiration date to, that's the only amendment unless that we need to make is December 31st. And speaking to her, she mentioned to me that all the town committees expire on 12/31 unless they're elected.
Oh, all of them do,
So that's the way I was responding.
okay.
So that was in my previous life, as town manager, we had all our committees expire in June, so that's the reason.
So all of these would expire
31, but a different year.
So I make a motion that we adopt it as amended to reflect December 31st. As appropriate. In accordance with the clerk's rules. Or the time, whatever that is.
I think it's just a standard practice, or it's something that she.
And I second that motion, the amended motion.
Thank you. That'll be good, on our next meeting, and I'll clean that up, and then I'll have it ready for you guys to sign.
So are we all in favor?
Oh,
Yeah.
minor details.
Okay.
Thank you.
No, not to the secretary.
The viewing of demographics, we kind of already jumped to that one, but. I gave you a copy of the gap analysis, and I will email you, a copy of this, Billings County. Housing assessment.
Great.
And, you can come and pick it up next week, that split. But we should probably be prepared to talk about this in depth and see what we think are some trends. And the nice thing about the Lincoln County is that it actually gives recommendations. And I wonder if there's anything in there that stands out, in particular that we can talk about. And I think that's where we were kind of going with this. And for the next meeting, we would want to invite anybody. We'll talk. Housing demographics. We obviously don't have to solve that problem next week. Any thoughts?
On specifically,
Anything?
oh, on anything, broadly.
It was just dead.
When is our next meeting?
We had been,
I was finding that out.
yeah. Kind of been keeping on us.
Well, like I said, last meeting. And again, you don't plan these around me, but Thursday nights I have a live on the common concerts that I have
Oh, okay.
all through July and the first week of August. So Thursdays won't work for me. But
Just a hop, skip and a jump. Between steps.
Shoot, every Thursday, no?
it is,
Except the last one, which is Park Walk.
right,
Which kept it both ways.
Yeah. Basically Thursdays are bad. So.
through, I mean, August is, the end of August, I'm fine.
The only problem is that. The only problem with Wednesdays is, I think this one booked. But that's the only reason why we need to know. Thursday.
And we can't do anything in the middle of the day, probably.
I don't know if I can.
What about you, you probably can't do
I'm usually do meetings anytime, so.
it, you know? Could we do something earlier on Thursdays? I mean, or another night?
Yeah.
I mean, Thursdays works for me, it's just that it would have to be maybe,
Lunch hour after.
I can do earlier.
yeah.
I'm not tied to night times.
Yeah.
We just,
I prefer.
I'm more aware, I'm more alert, more energy, clear mind.
Daytime's fine, I got, on one Thursday, I've got a lunch, that's all.
So we'll go for lunch,
So what do you
2
think?
o'clock here.
Yeah, 2 is perfect, really.
when?
Which Thursday?
Which Thursday?
I think you put on the calendar, match the calendar before Thursday,
The 4th Thursday,
if that's all right with
would
you.
that be the 25th?
Is that okay with you, Bill?
Yeah. At 2
Not
o'clock.
for me.
So.
It's not with you. Okay.
The whole day or-
The whole day or a different time?
No, the whole
Yeah.
day, but going in.
We're talking July now.
Are we talking June or July?
July.
Okay, are we done? This is our June meeting.
Yeah,
I guess I'm not coming back.
yeah, let's all say in here.
What Thursday was it again now? Fourth.
July.
No, but you can't.
Can you do the 3rd?
On the 18th? Yeah,
Could we for that month do it on the 3rd Thursday?
Sure.
The talk can be.
We're moving it to the, yeah, we're.
No,
doing it
you're
in the middle of the day,
always.
it's First, second, third,
Is it
fourth.
just for that month?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, it's not always.
no.
So the 18th at 2 o'clock?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
You know, you can always meet, if you need to, you know, at the Lincoln County Regional Planning Office as well.
Okay.
And we've met as a different committee in the community center too.
Okay.
As long as we give notice, right?
Yeah.
Then we
Yeah.
met our,
How about August? You want that?
Why don't you keep it on the same day every month?
Yeah.
What day was-
The 3rd, so let's keep it on the
I'm
3rd,
not gonna change
Thursday.
all the dots.
That's good, keep it busy.
What day is it in August?
15th.
Well, that's the 15th and you have it live, so what, would we do another daytime?
2 o'clock would be great.
2 o'clock is fine with me.
Yeah, 2 o'clock.
Literally 6 o'clock at night on a Thursday is the worst possible time of the entire week for me, so I only try to say 3 AM any day, it doesn't matter, this is.
Did you say 3 AM?
Well, I'm up at 4:30 in the morning, so I'm good.
August 15th,
Yeah,
Yeah.
2 in the afternoon?
yeah.
I am gonna have I'm working on getting the scout hall set up for meetings, so I'll have to do that there too.
That's where we're
Yeah,
gonna,
that'd be great.
No, we don't have to.
How did that grant, did we get it? Did we? Did it hurt?
We just get to see how people are doing, so
Okay.
unfortunately. We're waiting to hear back from Senator Collins in Pickering.
Yeah, we can't get every grant.
Why
I
not?
met with a representative from Senator Collins today. And we talked about that stuff there. And we talked about some other projects, including the old area road, the Mason Station, and of course our lovely septic sewer treatment plant.
Begin review of community demographics. That's like,
This thing,
No,
is that,
Yeah.
but our community
Yeah.
is within
I
there.
had hoped to have, I had hoped to email this.
Okay, so next time.
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to know if I
Sorry.
needed to read anything.
Thank you. We need to.
Well, I'm trying.
and then your director's update, May monthly meeting, we don't need to review that particularly, do we?
I mean, you want me to go over it, but I think you don't have to read it.
Yeah, I'll read it.
I'll just read my agenda.
Anyways, yeah. I think, you'll see that there's been some momentum in my office. This month. You want to put on the agenda? The Vermont AG thing, so we can talk about that, maybe at the next meeting. I don't know, it's something you had all mentioned in the last meeting that you would like to see that, because I mentioned stuff.
What was it?
Vermont Yankee, what they,
Oh, Vermont Yankee, okay, I didn't hear that's what I didn't hear, yeah, sorry. Good. What are we doing now?
True much. I think it's a good idea to discuss it.
You have to read it online, but I like to have paper.
Yeah.
If you all want to swing next week, I have seen to have.
Next month. Saying next week.
He's saying in general, if people wanna stop in next week.
All for
I
that,
get the
sorry.
comments.
Right, pick the one. What's the name of that report that we're gonna pick up?
the Vermont.
Restoration and redevelopment plan, Vermont Yankee.
Have you read this already?
Yeah. I think it's a really, I do want to call and actually see where they are, but, I think it's a great opportunity for the town. And that I think would be, you know, I know there's some people talking about clean energy, but I think that would be the location for it. In my mind. Because their proposal would be that they're talking about solar. Farm, they're talking about battery storage.
Biochar,
They haven't mentioned that, but I mean, there's so much land over there.
How many acres does Maine Yankees own?
180.
That they own
Yeah.
over there where the plant used to be?
So, I mean, there's a lot of land over there, it's just not developed enough to be used. And one of the thoughts that I had, when I mentioned to Dennis, was, you know, this might be a way for them to recoup some money for the pay, have to pay us taxes. Right, if they can get generate some income.
They're gonna have to do a safety perimeter around what they're
Right.
guarding.
If you look at that, they did that over there.
Is that what they did? The same-
Yeah, they put the solar farm in that safety room.
Did they have the storage done the same way that we have here, the cans? Yeah. Cast, yeah.
So, I mean, they even included housing in there, and I'm not suggesting housing there, but
No, they did say that. Potentially.
We have a beautiful piece of land that we own right on the river. They put some very expensive houses there, but looking out the back window, they're gonna be looking at the cast.
A lot of people would not want that. but
It's not for sissies.
I just assessed a $2 million home in Westport today, right across the river.
Yeah.
So they don't mind it as soon as they're across the river.
yeah, no, it's true,
So that was one of the things too, the site assessment was, I spoke to a brownfield company that had been using Saving AR. And, their engineers that's kind of what they do and what part of the regulatory site assessment that we want to do for the Old Ferry Road. They would also interview people, adjacent property owners, and that would be May Yankee. And, they would do also like permit and paper investigation, so they would go to the town office to see if there's any studies, and things like that, what the plans are associated with the ABQ property. There's any notices and things like that. But one of the things that they, could help us out with, and, glad that they might be able to do this, is sort of give us their view on whether or not it's safe or not. In other words, you know, they may not be able to say that it's safe, like, right on the property, but like, if somebody wants to build a house across the street, or lives across the street, they could say that potentially that it is safe. You know, that there is no radiation coming off that, the main Yankee property. And I think that would be really useful for you, because we could put that, you know, on a website and say, hey, look at, well, you know, so-and-so just did that study on Old Ferry Road property, and they're quoted as saying, you know, it's safe. Hopefully that's pretty fine, but.
Aaron, does Maine Yankee, they have so many people that apparently work there and whatever, don't they do monitoring on a regular basis?
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, they must have some data, I don't know how slanted it might be, but.
Yeah. But I think that's how this group, you know, when they do the site assessment on Old Ferry Road property, they then interview those folks and say, okay, what do you have for information on that?
Yeah. I would think they'd have to be fairly realistic.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
I mean-
I could do it.
Yeah. So I mean, I see this actually, you know, this Old Ferry Road property thing actually helping us out a lot of different little ways. Like, or just that alone, just having that site assessment would make people feel a little bit at ease. We had a letter or something
yeah, it would be,
that you could hit out, you know.
I'm pretty bad on property procedure every month or whatever, that they have to report to the government.
Absolutely.
There's no radiation or anything like that, just, that's all you need is a letter from them saying that we do it, and we have not found any in 10 years,
yeah,
whatever.
And then you guys, the last minutes from 2022 from the community advisory panel. It's 12 pages, might have info you're looking for.
Thank you.
How about a houseboat community on the river?
Now you're talking, Pat. Riverboat, casino.
I want one.
Yes, Branson, Missouri style.
That river is, what is it, 15 miles long?
I think it's 12 to the.
I wouldn't mind a little long boat there.
There you go. Seattle style.
England.
Well, you know, it's interesting, I did talk to a developer, or the person that has a boat. I think I told you this, the name Talk It. He would be willing to bring it up here, I just don't think that he's kind of interested in selling the boat to the town. for us to develop.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of told them through cold water I'm out, but I don't think that's the town's business. But if we know anybody that would be willing to,
Yes, we had one that was floating restaurant, isn't it?
yeah.
Huh.
Basically, some kind of breakfast, but
Milos, huh?
I would love to,
Milos.
Jamillos.
Oh,
I
okay.
would love to see something like that, like docked at Mesa Station,
Hmm.
but we need somebody to, if they wanna make that their business. Everybody.
Did you send that yet? Did you say you sent it? It's probably just my internet slow.
No, I didn't show up on mine.
Send it as a reply to,
I got it.
to this
But you
meeting.
have better internet than I do. I get that, we do.
Yeah,
On the TOW Wi-Fi.
yeah.
I'm just using my data.
Checking.
That,
Evan, can you just send it to my P. Cloutier? 1946 at Gmail.
Oh, there it is. All right, so do we have anything else to add to the minutes or are we kind of done for the day?
I think we're done, unless anybody wants to really feel motivated to talk about something else.
I don't want to talk about it, but I have a question. I mean, as we talk about, riverborne entertainment or lodging or what have you, does anybody know how to induce someone to undertake that? Or who to induce?
The only thing that I can say is that we have a lot of places in Maine that are on the water.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, looking at DeMillo's or, or Grand, what is it, Grand Island? I mean, millions of people go over there.
And all the stores, the restaurants, porches out on the back.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many of them and, we're pretty light here on the Sheepscot, and the Sheepscot's a lovely river. I mean, it is a beautiful river. Water's Edge, they just have a really great spot there. But,
just needs a new gas station.
Yeah.
The last one was in Eshcombe and now people don't come up here anymore.
Is that why? That's.
The gas station is gone and this harbor provides nothing.
That makes sense, yeah.
You go to Dory, you go to Goose Bay, you go to Rockland, and people with sailboats, they take them to Rockland now, they don't keep them here.
I know,
Nobody,
I
Where do they
know.
get gas in Damascotta?
think they sell gas right there.
Right at the waterfront?
Maybe.
I don't remember seeing it.
But that's what, that's what we heard.
You gotta have
down
gas.
there. That, people were warning each other in their communications, in the magazines and whatever, that not to come to Wiscasset. because there was
So what can
50
we do about getting gasoline down there?
They wanted to, there's several people who are against doing anything down there, they think it should be only private, and it's just like, well, you got a wasted building down there, so. The waterfront committee was trying to do stuff like that, but got
Well,
cold water all over it.
it's,
I poured a little cold water on it because I'd love to see a private,
Yeah,
development down there or a public-private partnership.
and if there was shore for somebody to get to, there probably would be, but.
Yeah, there's even piping, all piping going down there to put fuel at some time.
That's my understanding as well.
We could just.
there was.
The infrastructure exists, it's just,
Mhm. Just needs to be implemented.
I mean, that whole waterfront is underutilized.
It is.
Well, it sounds like this would be the critical element that's required. I mean, the start.
If you look at,
It is a good
if you look at the 2000 or 2020 thing, they talk about getting, a private entrepreneur to come in and put in a pier for wharf and stuff.
Well, in that scenario where we could help.
I've been meaning to call John Davis up, because he was gonna look into that, he's big on the water stuff. And there one time he was looking to see if there was, someone who'd be interested in building a marina here, not the town, but. And I keep forgetting to call him, I said, you know what, for a week, I keep forgetting about it. I'll try and get him, this week.
Well, we do have somebody interested in building a marina at the Mason Station.
Right.
So we heard that in 2007.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Like, it's
familiar,
great.
it's very familiar.
We have so many problems with the Mason Station, that
Right, and the other part is, when you land at all these other towns, you can walk to 20 restaurants.
right,
There's not too many great restaurants at
not
Mason
Mason
Station.
Station.
Right,
If the town was interested in leasing property down at the waterfront, I think you might have a chance there, but I don't see where you've got real estate where anybody would wanna walk up their boat, let alone any other thing.
It's also kind of shallow, but I actually,
Yeah, absolutely. It's not perfect, but. You gotta
it's
go
shallow,
right down here where the docks are.
yeah,
is it really?
yeah, but
Most of half the docks are in like 2 feet of water sitting on the mud at low tide, so you can only use it for. High tide.
Well, I remember when I was, in middle school, the yachts used to come in and dock there, I
Yeah.
mean, big yachts.
One of the ones from below deck was there like 2 or 3 summers ago, so
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you can do it.
You got 30 feet of water at low tide at the harbor here, in the pier. It won't last when you come in, just touch the bottom at low tide.
I didn't realize it was that low there.
Yeah, definitely can.
Some major dredging.
Would it be the Army Corps that does it, the dredging?
yeah. Well, they would approve it.
Right.
Very, very expensive. You know, the tide comes in around Westport Island, and then it shoots back towards with Pottle Cove, and then back out again.
Sure.
Mhm.
Anything else?
I want a beach.
Beach?
I,
White's Island.
It will be underwater. It's gonna be a really.
still in the water.
Yeah.
I keep getting, I got one of those, speakers from, Amazon. And they tell me when I got something, but they also give me, I've got, beach warning hazards for Wiscasset. I've been trying to find the beach.
Beach
You
one.
gotta get 20 years here, Bill,
Yeah.
before we're gonna tell you.
I still like the setup that they have in Rockport. I just think they, you know, and maybe it was, I don't know how long it's been like that. You know, they've got the beach. They've got, of course, they have, a big boat building there. And, you know, they're quite active, but still it's quiet. You know, it's not, crazy busy, but I think enough to sustain them, you know, and,
Well, the waterfront community has a proposal on the table. I found it. Has anybody seen that?
No. I haven't.
It's like a walk. They have like a whole series of proposals, but, you know, they wanna redo the waterfront essentially from the sewage stream plant all the way up to the waterfront.
Floating or.
Is this a newer plan or an older?
It's a newer
Okay, I
one.
haven't seen the new, I mean,
What,
this is again,
Be about $5 million just to put the walk
years.
in.
this
Like
has
the
been
boardwalk?
on the table.
Yeah,
yeah,
out in the water.
To connect each.
yes,
Yeah, but that's been on,
I
that's
know,
been
as
years.
they've talked about for a long time.
Years.
I mean, it's a great idea for the fact that, you know, to join the recreational
I think that's a
pier
great.
to the
Yeah,
Kirby.
that's, they ought to do that first.
Yeah, that's a great, to me, that's great because you now have, that connection that's missing.
It's like
People walk
Booth
on
Bay.
the,
Booth Bay has the footbridge.
Right.
You know, you go from east side
Right.
to the harbor, I
Right.
mean, it
right,
connects everything.
and so you've got, you know, you've got the bathrooms down there and everything, but more people would go between them
Yeah.
because of the connection to
Cause I don't
downtown.
know how to get from the bathroom,
Right,
up to
they
Water
walk
Street,
on the
walk
railroad.
down the street, I mean,
Right.
it's all very weird.
Yeah, they walk on
You
the
know.
railroad tracks.
And
For people who don't know.
they looked
Yeah.
into it once and there was all sorts of complications with, there might be some little animal living under there and the shadow from the skier was gonna hurt them and crap like that.
Well, I just look at the opportunity, if you have a nice boardwalk, you can have portable little businesses that are going across that way as well, so that you could expand some of those seasonal businesses if there isn't any opportunity downtown.
Right.
You can also use more of the WordFest kind of cities on that and leave the parking lot.
Yeah. You could have pop-ups and all kinds of
Yeah.
stuff.
Lovely, lovely little umbrella carts.
What they got, at least $5 million. And then.
Gotta spend money to make money, Bill.
And we can't afford the upkeep. Tearing it down like we did the pier out to White's Island.
Which is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of in my entire life, and I still cannot believe it.
What, the White Island?
Yeah, I just dumbfounded that we did that. It's just like,
That we did what?
So we tore it down.
It was gone, there was nothing left to fall.
but if you don't maintain stuff, then
Well,
you
yes,
lose your money.
But that should have been 20
They
years
didn't own
ago.
it.
Yeah, I know.
Right,
You know, but you got
They
it
didn't
like-
own it.
right.
And they didn't own it,
For
but
several years, they couldn't, it was kind of
I
like,
think it was handed off to us because they couldn't take care of it
yeah,
either.
exactly.
Yeah, well.
By the time we
Okay.
got it, it was
Yeah.
already in bad.
And they were gonna do all this and that, and it, but if you look at the deed, you can't do anything out there. It's sort of like a wildlife
Yeah.
reserve, so
What would you do to it?
what would you do?
They wanted to put in a big, like, kids
No,
park,
yeah,
you know, like a
I'm saying what-
theme.
It's going to be underwater, there's no,
Right.
I mean, I
No, was
suggested
asking what he was talking
Oh,
about, 'cause there's no economic benefit to it, it's too bullets.
I said,
Well,
hey, get
that's
somebody to
what
set
I'm
up a kayak business on the pier. You wanna get out to White's Island, rent a kayak, rent a canoe,
Get back before the time.
and then you got a business downtown.
well, we did have the kayaks down there, but they didn't do anything. They didn't do any business.
We don't even have a boat rack for dinghies.
Hmm?
Asked the
No,
chairman of the committee about that, didn't know what the boat rack was. Dinghy rack.
It's all about marketing.
Also.
Peter and Terry Wells actually offered to put up, some kayak racks on the,
Yeah,
Town.
they wanted to hang it on the building, but it only had 4 slots, and they were going to occupy 2 of them.
But dinghy racks is for the dinghies to get out to your boat. Right. It's like that, but it's different, but, you know, now they keep them tied up, so if it rains, you gotta go bail them out. The dinghy rack, you put them in upside down and put them away, put a lock on them. And then they've got some buoys that they own themselves and said, you know, we set up, they never met a price for recreational vehicle, boats. Set a price for it, done nothing, I reminded her 3 times. Even if they wanna get recreation stuff down there, but they only want a pier for it.
I'm surprised that they don't. I mean, why I don't know about this actually, so you should talk to him about this, but do we have a ordinance where we charge for warrants?
So I'm talking about, we own 3 of them. There's room for probably 40 more down there. They cost you about $3,000 to set one up.
3,000?
Yeah, you gotta have a big block of cement down
Yeah,
there.
but you don't. $3,000 for
Pardon?
$3,000 worth of.
It'd probably be cheaper if you set
I
a
need
number
more
of
now.
them at once. But if you did them one by one, you know, you have to bring out the special boat, blah, blah, blah.
It's already plotted.
I don't know, it seems like we can make
Always
money.
have-
What do we rent one for?
Pardon?
What do we rent a mooring for?
Annually is like $1,200 or something like that for the summer. And you prorate it. But again, like I say, we had 3. I think they finally someone took one.
that's all?
I know, it seems like.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, it depends on the size of the boat. I mean,
and there's no service here. and you
Right,
gotta look
But
up.
yeah,
Yeah,
to your
so-
point of not
We
having.
had a
Right.
26-foot boat, we looked at doing, putting it in Wisconsin, and said, fuck that, pardon my language. And, put in a mooring ourselves in Colby Cove in Westport Island and didn't worry about it. Now you charge down here to launch the boat, so I can't say that there's enough big red hands that say, don't even bother coming here if you own a boat.
Well, yeah, because why would they come here?
Right.
We're not boater friendly, I'm hearing.
Oh, the other thing, it's 12, you're gonna go 12 miles to get to the ocean. And it's fine if you're going with the tide, you both ways, but if you're going against the tide, it can be a good fight.
But people would come and spend the day in Wiscasset if they could get gas, I think,
Yeah.
and they could get back out of here. I mean,
So we've got a place for lunch.
there's a lot of places to eat around and have lunch.
I could sit and drink wine.
They love,
and eat
everybody else loves riding down to the Osprey and
Yeah.
down in Robin Hood, so.
Yeah.
I don't have any problem getting down there.
Mm.
Well, it sounds like the waterfront is something we should address.
I agree,
That committee, every time you go to one of their meetings, it always ends up in chaos, so.
really.
That's not my description that I hear.
You watch, sit here and watch it. So Susan resigned from
Yeah, I saw that
Really?
today. Mhm.
I'm sorry to hear that, really. Wow.
Not sure.
Well,
Getting a little off topic.
Yeah.
yeah, this is not a.
Short meeting, cat long, guys, we got excited.
Yeah, I think we're done.
it. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
17.
Oh, I like that.
Okay. Can we shut the camera off?